are back now and joined by Lisa Lee Freeman. She is the editor-in-chief of ShopSmart Magazine. Welcome. Thanks for coming today. Okay, so it's that type of season. It's back to school. I mean, some schools have already started, right?
Well, they're started. If not, many of them are starting soon, and they're sending out their lists of things to buy, that's for sure.
Okay, so everyone wants to know how you can save money when shopping for back-to-school supplies. You have a bunch of tips.
Absolutely.
So what are they?
Well, one of them is to buy in bulk, because when you buy in bulk, you could really save a lot of money. And the way to do that is go to the warehouse stores or go to websites like samgeddes.com or discountschoolsupply.com. But you want to shop with other moms because it's a lot of stuff in order to save the money. You might think that going to your local office supply store is going to save you money. You see penny deals and giveaways, but that doesn't mean that everything else in the store is a bargain. So I think you have to be careful. You know, you may think that there's really good deals locally, but sometimes it really is better off to go to the warehouse stores.
Wow, so you plan a trip with a bunch of, fellow moms and with your kids, and you buy in bulk. Now, how do you, decide what to get if people need different things?
What do you mean if people need different things?
For different grade levels, they'll require different types of calculators and stuff like that.
Absolutely. You really should go to the school, call the teacher, call the school, or go to the school's website and download the list of items that you need. But be warned that a lot of the times, once they get into class, the teacher will say that they need additional items. So if you can, call the teacher directly and find out what they need, so you don't have to go rushing out again right after you think you're finished.
Okay, so buy in bulk.
Yes.
What's another tip?
Well, another tip would be to go to swapping sites or have a swap party with other moms. You know how you have a swap party for clothes? Well, this isn't as fun, but you could have a swap party for kids' clothes and kids' items. That could help because, of course, all moms have kids of different ages, and maybe their kids have grown out of some things that are perfectly good. So you could have a swap party, but there's a website that actually could help you meet up with other moms. It's called swapmamas.com, and they could actually hook you up with mothers not only across the country if you want the widest selection, but also locally. So right here, Westchester County, there's a Swap Mamas Club. So, that could really help a lot.
That's great. One person's trash is another person's treasure, right?
That's right.
Now,
right.
Is there, can you guarantee the quality of those items on the website?
Well, it's usually described what kind of quality the items are in. In fact, sometimes they have these cute little abbreviations like NWT, which means new with tags, or EUC, which means excellent used condition. So, read those little descriptions so you're not disappointed when it comes in the mail and it's not quite what you expected.
Some good advice, because if it says not in great condition and you just miss that, that would be bad.
You might want to know. Another tip that I have is if you're going to be needing electronics, a lot of kids nowadays need computers. And one way to do that to save money is to buy refurbs. Now, a lot of people may be a little nervous about buying refurbs, but generally they're in pretty good condition. And if you buy them from a reputable retailer, then, you should be okay. Just make sure you check the return policy, because the return policy on refurbs might be stricter than it is for regular merchandise. And you never know, some of that stuff could be final sale. So you really want to check that out.
That's a great idea, because I read somewhere that the average lifespan of a computer which someone owns is 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting outdated so quickly now, and especially if you're buying one for a small child or younger child, it really doesn't pay to spend a lot of money on a computer because it's going to be out of date in a couple of years anyway. Another piece of advice I have is, especially for smaller children, is to buy a netbook. These are like mini laptops, and they're not as powerful, so they may not be able to play all their big games, their fancy games, but they can do Facebook, email, all their homework. So that's the thing to buy. You could pick them up for refurb for as little as $250 and up. But even brand new, they're very inexpensive. They're only a few $100s. And we test them at ShopSmart, which is part of Consumer Reports. And some of the models we like are the Asus E. Dell has a good model. So that's definitely worth checking out. And they're very cute. And yet they won't weigh down your child's backpack, which is another benefit.
Is there one item that you should splurge on, that you shouldn't, try to buy cheaply?
No, I think with back to school, the thing you're probably going to end up splurging on are those new sneakers that your child has to have, or a particular article of clothing. And how to deal with that is to tell your child you have, say, $100 to spend on back to school clothing or whatever you determine, and let your child decide how he wants to spend it. So if your daughter wants to buy a fancy pair of jeans, maybe that's all they can afford with the amount of money they gave you. But that teaches them that money is not unlimited and that they have to make choices.
What is the normal budget, for back to school shopping? What do most people spend?
I think most people spend a few $100s. So, I mean, it's not inconsequential. And it doesn't end in the summer. You're going to have to continue to buy stuff. One of my tips is with clothing, don't buy all of the clothing now for the fall, because you may hit some sales, but what's going to happen is the kid's going to go back to school and they're going to say, oh, all these other kids are wearing the whatever sweatshirt or another kind of sneaker that he doesn't have, and they may actually want different stuff, and then you're going to have stuff that's going to sit in the closet and not get worn. So I would wait, buy a few things now, try to get some good deals on summery kind of stuff that they could wear for the next month or two, and then go back for Columbus Day sales, and that's where you're really going to save.
Yeah, so how do you tell your kids that, though? That you can't get everything right now, because usually people want it right now.
I know. And back to school, it's so fun. That's part of what, you remember as a kid going back and getting all the clothes for school. Like I said, I think, giving your kid a budget and saying, look, here's what we're going to spend now. You're going to get another, say, $100 in another month. So, that's one way to do it, is to give them a budget and to tell them that they'll have another budget to spend later in the fall to buy winter and, heavier clothing.
And don't some states have, states that tax clothing, they have holidays?
Yes, that's great you brought that up, because right now Connecticut, Florida, I think Massachusetts are having tax holidays right now. So you really want to check that out, and that may actually be a good reason to do more of your shopping now as opposed to waiting if there's a tax holiday in your state. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, is there any other advice that you could give us? We like to pick your brain.
Don't take the kids with you when you do the back-to-school shopping, at least for the office supplies, because they're going to want to buy the silly bands and the koosh balls and all the silly, all the erasers with the flashing lights, and that's just going to add to your bill. And it's kind of a distraction, too. It could be a distraction for them in class, so you're probably better off leaving them at home, except maybe when you're buying clothes.
I remember my big thing for back to school was I wanted the fancy pens. Those fancy pens that cost like $10 or something. I insisted. And usually I could convince my mom, but not smart, right?
No, well, I mean, you could treat them to something, a little surprise. Maybe that SpongeBob backpack, I don't know. That might get them a little excited about school. So I guess you don't want to be too strict. A pencil with a little fur on the top or a flashing light is okay. Just do it in moderation. Don't load your kids with all kinds of that kind of junky stuff that's really not going to contribute to their education.
And I see that you said those are your nephews.
Yes, I actually have my nephews.
Have you taken? Do you want to tell them to come over here?
Jordan.
You guys want to come over and say hi?
These are my nephews, and actually, they're here visiting. Max and Jordan.
Have you gone back to school shopping?
Yeah, at Staples.
And what was the best thing that you bought there?
I didn't really like anything we bought, so.
Good. His mom was smart. She didn't buy anything silly. How about you, Jordan?
Well, my favorite schoolwork is writing.
So did you get lots of writing pads for the school year?
My grandma did.
Oh, good.
You guys are so cute. Wait, what grades are you guys going into?
I'm going into 6th.
Oh, middle school. The first year of middle school. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm going into 1st.
She's going to 1st grade. So, yeah. And I was just with their mother, and she actually went to the school website and was able to download a list of items that they needed for the school year, which is very convenient. So if your school has that, you should check it out.
Good to have a list, because then it makes sure that you don't buy things that are not on the list.
That's right. And it's a list is your best money-saving tool. If I could leave anybody with any advice, that's your best money-saving tool. Get a list, stick to it, and don't bring your kids school shopping.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. We love your advice. And, you'll have to come back
Okay. Well,
and tell us some more advice.
All right.
Great. Well, thank you.
Bye-bye.